Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, I completely lied to everybody. I said I would have the poll questions up. I didn't. There's this freaking computer problem I've been having. And as soon as I fixed it, I kind of have an idea of what it might be. But just to tell you what has been happening for like 2 days now. When I hover over something, it starts scrolling. So, for example, when I have my X Pro, the deck up that has all my lists so I can see all the news just in one place, it keeps scrolling to the right. All my Packers news is all the way on the left, so I can never see it. I have to keep scrolling over that way. When I organize my notes, I use a site called Trello. Keep scrolling to the right. Guess where all my notes are? They're on the left. It's not, even when I'm recording my podcast. I tried to put the outro music in yesterday, and it kept scrolling all the way to the right. And it's like, well, I need to go grab the audio, which is over on the left. So you have to zoom all the way out so you can see the whole thing. The problem is now the outro music is so small, I can't grab it. I've been going insane. So I spent several hours using, thank you to the power of AI, trying to figure this out, and safe mode and all this stupid nonsense. And I was getting worried, like, oh man, am I going to have to go into BIOS? It's telling me to create a restore point. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have to do all this stuff. Finally narrow it down. I get in and I start just disabling the USB drivers. And finally, it just worked. Went in, did some sleuthing on what that particular USB thing was. And it's like, oh, it looks like there's a little wireless keyboard and mouse dongle plugged in there. And I'm like, well, I already disabled my keyboard, so I don't know why that would be the issue. And I'm using a different mouse that's actually wired. And then it clicked in my head, oh, I wonder if I have a frickin' mouse that still has batteries in it that maybe fell down somewhere and a button is stuck. So stupid. I don't know that that's it, but that's probably what it is. In fact, I think I've had that happen before, something along those lines. Oh, I can't tell you the amount of relief I have. That I have a computer that just works normal. But we're going to get an early jump on all this stuff. Fortunately, we're going to go, we're going to switch it up once in a while how I do this. Sometimes I like to organize all the notes at once and then give you, it looked like breaking news, but it's just not. Big report update. Keenan Allen is still not hired and employed, but there's interest. Okay, thanks, Jordan Schultz, you dummy. Sometimes I like to organize all the notes and just kind of give it in one go. Sometimes I like to run through it live. Today is a live. Live is fun because, you know, even though I get caught off guard and sometimes I report stuff and then unreport stuff because it changes later and it feels maybe more unprofessional or whatever, it's more exciting to kind of just go through it and get the live. I'm a freaking mess today. Would you stand up, idiot? Thank you. Get the live reaction results, all that kind of stuff. I've very, very briefly peeked at a couple things, including Brian Gutekunst's. That's actually what kicked this off. I was trying to look at the Brian Gutekunst news and stuff, and it kept going away, and I just couldn't, and it is so stupid and annoying. But let's do training camp first. We'll see where that leaves us, and then we'll look at some of the news and updates from Gutekunst. And I believe Matt LaFleur would have been after that, but I was off in my own world at that point. So let me get my bearings here really quickly and make sure we're to the top of the news, and then we'll get after it here. You know what? I think I changed my mind. Why don't we just start with the press conferences? Because there's going to be some news that is going to be important for us when it comes to all of this stuff. So just really quickly here, spend some time praising Zach Tom, as expected, talking about the contract and whatnot. Jordan Love, excited for what he's going to do for our team this year. A lot of boilerplate, vanilla stuff. He says all the injuries should be short order with the exception of Christian Watson and John Williams. John John Williams, the 7th-round pick offensive lineman, is dealing with a back injury, and it sounds like he may be out for some time. Everybody else is expected back in short order. So good news, bad news, I guess. It's good news that that's all there is so far. Bad news for, again, John Williams. But I think ultimately the odds of him having a prominent role this year were pretty low. So, take some time. You got 4 years on that rookie deal. Year one's going to be redshirt, unfortunately. You're not going to be doing anything. Learn the playbook, learn how things work, get the diet and everything down pat, and whatever you can do as far as physical therapy, get that playbook inside and out. Come back next year, you got 3 full years to prove that you should be a part of the team. Elgton Jenkins also dealing with a back thing, but he said he should be out there soon. I know there was a question posed to him at some point, do you expect him to play when he's healthy? And he says absolutely. So it sounds like there's no issue with him participating, which is great news. I mean, it's not a thing until it's a thing. We got to see him out there, but when Elton's back is good, he's expected to be out on the field per Goody, says Andy Herman. Goes on to talk about how much do they need him and how much they think he's going to be a great center, all that stuff. Talked about Beau Melton basically saying he's a corner. So we went from, no, we're not changing his position. It's a hybrid position. He's going to be a hybrid to, yeah, he's going to be a corner, which is kind of what I expected all along. Brian Gutekunst says Beau Melton will spend most of his time at cornerback in camp, giving him a real opportunity on defense given the logjam at wide receiver. He is going to be switching his number to number 16. I mean, fingers crossed, who knows? You never know. Could end up working out, but as I've said before, position switches generally are not a great sign. It just means you're not going to make this team as a wide receiver. And we can either cut you, or if we think there's a small chance that you can thrive or survive somewhere else, we'll make that switch. And so ultimately, you have 90 guys. Would you rather have Beau at corner as, let's say, your 90th? Or is there somebody else that's more appealing and they think of the top 90 players that are on their team or available, he makes the top 90 list as a corner? Now, that may be short-lived. It may just be a courtesy because they really like the guy. But the reality is cornerback depth is not great. They like Beau. They love his athleticism, obviously, and so they're going to at least give him the opportunity. But again, generally speaking, it doesn't bode well. Speaking about Matthew Golden, and I hate when they do this, I understand that it's right, and this is just how it goes, but you get so excited. You get all in your head about, oh man, we think he's going to be a freak. Brian Gutekunst says Matthew Golden has a chance to make an impact as a rookie. Just shut up, all right? Just don't talk. I hate when they downplay stuff. I know it's the right thing to do. They're not going to go getting all jacked up, and especially Gutekunst be like, oh man, he's going to be so good. They always do that thing where it's like, well, he's a rookie, and he's got to get his bearings, and we got a good wide receiver room, and so he's got to, he's right now he's behind all those guys, and he's just learning right now. He's just trying to get his bearing. No, he's not. All right, he's trying to figure out freaking the size of his gold jacket. Jagoff. Okay, he's looking at plane tickets to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl, which he's not going to because we're going to the Super Bowl. Do you understand? Why doesn't Russ Ball, maybe you and Russ Ball should spend less time talking about him at the podium where you sound stupid and go talk to his agent about giving him that massive extension today. Okay, how about that? Say stupid things to me. Talking about the offensive line, basically just says it'll be the best 5, which, again, boilerplate. I don't know why I continue saying it when I can't even think of what the real correct thing is. Plate of points, pointy plate. Did go on to say that there is a comfort with Walker at left tackle, although it is an open competition. And, the more they talk about it and just how much they really like Rasheed Walker and all these rumors that they're trying to get an extension done with Rasheed, I can't help but think we're seeing like the apex. It's sort of like a pressure test of how much do you really believe in best player available? You know what I mean? Because if they made up their mind that they love Rasheed at left tackle and believe he is the left tackle of the future, and they drafted Morgan and they drafted Belton, and then went out and paid for a left guard, I mean, we are really putting this best player available thing to the test. And I'll tell you right now, if it ends up with a first or second round pick sitting on the bench, I feel like we failed the test and need to go back and revisit that. That whole, it's a good problem to have. No, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know that there is a good scenario. Either Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, or Anthony Belton will be not playing for this team. We know Rasheed is good, and I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it all sorts out, but I don't see a scenario where I look at this and go, man, that sucks. Which, again, the best scenario is Belton and Walker are so good that Rasheed can't compete. Anything outside of that is going to be unbelievably disappointing. The only other thing I can think is that they're basically lying when they talk up Rasheed Walker and how much they love him and all that kind of stuff, and really they're just being nice and being polite about, well, he's got, 34 starts, and that's a really great thing. And in reality, they don't give a crap, and they drafted him specifically to be replaced. Did mention they'd like to get a deal done with Quay. I'll be really interested to see what that looks like. This is a contract year for Quay. If I were the Packers, I'd want to see what that looks like. At the same time, Quay is one of those guys they seem to like. I've always said there are certain guys that the team likes more than me, than the fans. There are other guys that they dislike despite being fan favorites and everything else. And a lot of times draft value plays into that. Quay being a first-round pick. Emmanuel Wilson not at all being a first-round pick. Hate to think that they'd be so narrow-minded in that, but it does seem to be some correlation there. But they do seem to like Quay, and look, I mean, if he's not so bad that he's a massive liability. I think it's one of those AJ Hawk situations, maybe a little bit worse than that, but it's kind of an AJ Hawk situation where when you look at him as a first-round pick, you're pretty disappointed. If he was, Isaiah McDuffie, if he was a 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick, undrafted free agent, we'd love the guy. But we'll see. I think as long as they lock him down, and I mentioned this before too, even if he doesn't show out this year, he's going to stay on the team because we don't really have we don't have enough guys to just comfortably replace a first-round pick in Quay Walker with the upside and talent that he has. Even if you say, well, what about Tyron Hopper? So what? I mean, you put Tyron Hopper, essentially that would be your starting 3, and then we have no depth, right? You'd have Elton Jenkins, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper are your starting 3, and then what? And you have nothing. So there's no plan to replace him. There's no real desire to replace him. So I think at the very least, he's got job security for another year or two, couple years before, the Packers have the ability to go out and find enough linebackers to feel comfortable without him. So giving him an extension that is small enough, which is the other benefit, maybe he does show out this year. Pay him for what he's given you, which, to be honest, is not a ton. It should be a relatively small contract. It may shock us all, and he ends up getting some big linebacker contract, which I hope not. But, I guess we'll just have to see. But I think there's a good chance we'll be paying him a very modest amount of money where we can just say, okay, that is what it is now. And this is Elton Jenkins, Quay Walker, and hopefully Tyron Hopper for a very long time. We just don't have to worry about it. Could it be improved? Sure. But who cares? Now we can focus on some other stuff. Said Watson's doing great with his comeback. Won't take part in full practice during training camp. On Dobbs' concussion, we take that very, very serious, he says. Says he did some things this offseason and looks good. Okay. Quay Walker had a cleanup done this offseason. That'll keep him out for a bit. That's what his issue is. About a week away. All right. Boy, oh boy, this is taking longer. See, I shouldn't have. Whatever. Let's just go ahead and take a break. We got Matt LaFleur coming up next. Shouldn't be a ton. It's going to be repeating a lot of the same crap, and then we'll get into the training camp notes. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Talk about Zach Tom. Zach Tom was ear to ear when he FaceTimed him after his contract. He earned it. He played a lot of really good football for us. I FaceTimed him. Couldn't stop smiling. New locker room is nice and is a great luxury, but it means 0 wins. LaFleur says that locker room, by the way, it's pretty nice. I was very disappointed that, ESPN and all these guys are like, oh, the Jets just came out with a new locker room. Look at this. They did a full feature on it. Everybody, bro, the Packers literally just unveiled. They're okay. I guess we don't care about the Packers. By the way, they showed a little hint or preview or whatever for you guys for today, the 24th. They're going to unveil the new helmet. It very much looks like it's going to be I don't know if it's airbrushed or what, but the throwback leather helmets. They look, even because it's all blacked out, but you can see the outline and everything. One thing that I saw JJ caught was the stitching on top. So there's like fake stitching, but it looks like it's actually raised. I don't know how else we would be able to see it, which is awesome and points to it being, the real legit looking leather helmets, but also just the look of it. When you look at how those leather helmets were, they got like the puffed out ears with the hole there and all that stuff. It just, it looks very cool from what I'm envisioning it's going to look like. It looks super cool. I actually had AI try to bring it to life, and I think it looks pretty fantastic. We'll see how close AI got, but it looks really good. Also, just incredibly impressed at its ability to. Just what it did is, it's pretty impressive. All right. And Jordan Morgan, he's done a nice job. Body looks different. It'll be interesting to let it naturally and organically play itself out over the course of camp. He's going to have to cross-train at guard and tackle and see where it all lands. On Golden, I think he's definitely not afraid of hard work. He cares about the game. He's going to put in time and be dedicated. There's a lot of competition in that room. Those guys are going to have to fight for all those opportunities. On Tucker Kraft, he's an ascending player. It's not by surprise. The guy works his butt off every day. You see it. He's here the entire summer working with our guys, putting the work in. Colin Oliver, talking about his injury, said he is probably a few weeks away. And that is about that. Training camp is about to kick off here. Elton Jenkins is here, but on the bike. Number one line in some walkthrough. Walker, Banks, Ryan, Morgan, and Tom. I would not have got that right. So they've done this before, but they're starting with Sean Ryan at the center spot. Kind of makes sense. They're more than likely going to be giving away Sean Ryan's spot at right guard, so might as well see if he can cross-train at center. Walker getting the start at left tackle is probably what I would have guessed. Again, as much as I like Walker, I'm obviously rooting for that to change. Morgan's being given the spot at right guard, and then Tom. Again, it seems to me most people want Belton at left tackle, Morgan at right guard. I don't. I want the best of whatever. It just doesn't make the most sense to me. When I watched Belton, I don't like him at tackle. Thought he was fantastic as long as he was working in space. When he got beat is when you get speed guys kind of getting around the outside and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people are seeing this and thinking, well, Morgan played right guard a little bit last year. Morgan is playing right guard right now, and so that's why we believe Morgan is going to be the right guard. There's problems with that. I think it's more of a best five situation. Morgan is not playing left tackle because Rasheed is playing left tackle, and Belton is not playing right guard because Morgan is playing right guard. It's a pecking order, not so much positional. Walker is ahead of Morgan, and Morgan is ahead of Belton. So, in other words, I don't necessarily think the next move is Belton over Walker. It might be, and of course they're going to try that at some point. Belton's going to be playing all over the place, as is Morgan. But I think the move isn't Belton making the massive jump ahead of Walker. I think it's Morgan jumping Walker and Belton filling in for Morgan, or at least competing at the right guard spot. Where this all settles, I don't necessarily know, but that's kind of how I'm viewing this. Starters right away via Andy Herman. By the way, I always give a shout out to all the beat reporters that are down there doing a great job. I want to reiterate, as always, these guys do a great job. There's a ton of them. I have tried to cover other teams. Try to do what I'm doing right now with Detroit. You cannot do it. You get, what's that guy's name? One something or Numberman or number. I don't know. There's a beat reporter that will put out an article that says, here's how it went today. It's awful. The Bears do a decent job. The Vikings, not super great. The Lions, awful. And I don't know if they just don't have open stuff or what the situation is. But I have not seen better coverage of any team. And you guys know I talk about other teams. I try to find information on other teams. There might be some other teams that do as good of a job. I have not found any group of reporters that do a better job of tweeting out every single thing that happens to give you the impression as though you were there than the Green Bay Packers beat guys. So shout out to them. Starters right away: Love, Jacobs, Reed, and Heath. That is super random. Definitely don't need to read into that, but I don't understand it. Kraft at tight end, Walker, Banks, Ryan, Morgan, Tom. On the defensive side, you got Van Ness and Gary on the outside, Wyatt and Clark on the inside. All of that is as expected. Cooper and McDuffie also expected, with Quay being injured. McDuffie has been ahead of Tyron Hopper. That is a competition, but there's nothing that would have happened over the last 5 weeks of deadness that would have given that anything different. I mean, this is when we start from here and we go, and the competitions evolve from this point. The corners, as expected, unfortunately, Nixon, Hobbs on the outside, Bullard in the slot, and then McKinney and Williams as the safeties. I don't expect there to be any genuine competition there. I don't even know if there's any real competition at corner, although I hope there is. I hate to keep rooting against second-round pick Bullard. It was not great last year, that's all. He said, I missed one of the extra skill players, likely a wide receiver, but they rotate those every play anyway. So, yeah, it's kind of explains the Heath thing. He was just in for a play, out for a play. For your records, as we like to say, knee for Micah Robinson and hamstring for Amar Johnson. That's via Bill Huber. Lloyd getting early looks as RB2. I love that. Hobbs bumps to slot and Valentine moves outside in version 2 of Nickel D, so there's that competition, thankfully. Should be noticed, these are just walkthroughs. Savion Williams with the 2s on the other side and is not in the red contact jersey. This is just more good news. I'm loving everything. I'm okay with the competitions, and I'm okay with, Bullard isn't going to, again, he's not going to start the season losing the job he had last year. That's just not how they do things. So you're going to see largely what we had last year, and we're going to go from there. And what you'll find is that some of these competitions and some of these guys they have these jobs. I'm trying to think of the right wording. It's because they've kind of earned it or deserved it. It's kind of like when I say the best team in the NFC North is whatever team won it last year, just out of respect. That doesn't mean that you're actually going to win. It doesn't even mean you're the best team. It's just a respect thing. I don't know if we have any of those. Sometimes it's I wish I could think of the word. It's not performative, but it's just a thing that you do. Out of respect, we're going to give you the spot, but you're going to lose that job. Maybe like Matthew Golden and Romy. Like Golden is going to be that guy. So if they have it's Dobbs and Reed and Wicks, and then Golden is kind of rotating it, that is one of these things where it's fake. We're not going to give up Dobbs' job day one. That would be disrespectful. But they know he's going to lose that job to Golden. Everybody knows that. So there is some of that going on. And so the point is, with those, there's a very quick switch. It could be within a day, it could be a week, whatever, but you'll see them very rapidly move up, and then they get to that top spot, and they very rarely move off of that top spot. So it'll be interesting to see where that happens. It's possible Bullard is one of those guys where it's like, oh yeah, you're definitely our slot. And you're going to see Valentine and Hobbs and Nixon taking over very quickly, and that's just going to be the way that it is. Obviously, that is my preference. I don't think that's the case, but that's going to be kind of one of these things to watch. So day one, everybody that has kind of been handed the job or has earned the job up to this point, you get that job. What you got to watch for is how quickly these people get replaced and by who. And, it's always kind of going back and forth with who's with the ones, but it's, you go from 90% with the ones to 70% to 50 to 40 to 30. You lost that job, brother. I'm sorry. Beau Melton is in the green defense jersey and was rotating in with the top defensive group. Domofsky has a list of those not practicing. Quay with an ankle, Watson knee, Micah Robinson knee, Colin Oliver hamstring, Amar Johnson hamstring, John Williams back, Elton Jenkins back. By the way, the other benefit of going through this, which is why I always, rather than just listening to this podcast, going and actually looking at it, the videos. They're putting out videos, and even the dumbest stuff is super exciting to get to see these guys out on the field. Hackett back with the Packers has a similar role as Robert Saleh last year, working with the defense and giving an offensive perspective. This is also a good point. Easton Butler says, numbers update, Beau Melton is switching to number 16, which I already said, but he's sharing a number with quarterback Sean Clifford. Ken Ingle says, if you're sharing a number in camp, you can't love your chances, especially if you're making a position change in year 4 of your NFL career. Again, there's a lot of people that are huge Beau Melton fans that refuse to believe that this is what I'm saying that it is, that it's actually about how great he is, and he's going to be a great corner, and this is all wonderful. These are all bad signs. I mean, they just are. I'm positive if I look at these comments, they're going to be yelling at Ken Ingalls about that comment, but he's not wrong. It doesn't mean, and he's not saying, that he can't make the team. But it's the picture that they saw something special in him, and that's why he's going to be a hybrid player, and he's going to be that's not real. That's fake. By the way, I just had my half-Mexican attorney send me a very important document here. I just need to read this. I have to read this statement. First day of training camp notes. Caleb Williams was picked off early in 11-on-11 drills. Tremaine Edmonds got him on a pass over the middle. J.P. Richardson had the catch of the day, a one-handed grab down the left sideline deep to Tyson Bagent. Ben Johnson was verbally and visibly upset during 7-on-7 drills with Caleb Williams and the first team. Stopped the drill twice after they couldn't get lined up quickly enough, eventually pulled the offense. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, let's carry on. Got some of these net drills going on. Good to see Jordan Love just drilling it. Elgersma, nothing but net. And I think, I don't know if this was last year when they kind of started this little tradition. Somebody goes around to try to get the players in the stand, or the fans in the stands hyped up. Ryan Wood says, at the start of the first training camp practice, Packers' first-round rookie does a pass by the stands to get the crowd hyped. So it seems like they're still doing that, which is pretty cool. Wide receiver Christian Watson gets a big cheer from Nitschke Field crowd and a lot of high fives from his Packers receiving mates as he comes outside. He's continuing to rehab off to the side and won't be practicing during camp. I do like and appreciate the general positivity toward Watson. I know there's been some negativity, but generally speaking, with guys like Christian, I feel like there's a massive amount of negativity. Everybody just can't stand the guy and wants him gone. Seems like he's very well liked. Whether or not people believe he's going to come back and be some premier player, I don't necessarily know, but there seems to be a general, a real genuine appreciation for Watson, and I kind of dig that. I think there is a good amount of optimism, although it's obviously guarded optimism. Oh, man, I love these videos. You know, I'd mentioned before that my brain is fried today. The tight end, Musgrave. When I watched Musgrave that rookie year, he just looked different when he ran through stuff. And the thing that I liked this year from what we've seen so far from Matthew Golden, it's not so much the speed. And I'm willing to concede that he has it. I've just never seen it. But the great thing is, it doesn't matter because he just looks so smooth. His ability to come out of his break at a high rate of speed without wasted movements. I mean, he's so smooth. He's so natural. And right out of the gate, when you watch the first route, you know, people are, oh, it's shorts and t-shirt, doesn't matter. Yeah, but you can still see a difference. You can see what some people look like. Like, I'll watch Malik Heath and be like, oh, yeah, that looked good. You know, I don't really know. It's just kind of setting a baseline. Then you watch Matthew Golden do it, and you're like, okay, that's different. And I don't, you know, obviously if you're an NFL scout or something, you probably have terminology for all these different things. I don't have that, other than to say, as somebody like most of you listening has been watching football for 30 some odd years, you just kind of know it when you see it. Doesn't mean he's going to be an elite football player, but you just know what a real, what a receiver looks like. Romeo Dobbs is out there, still got his little weird cloth thing on his helmet. Yeah, Golden is smooth, man. I'm excited for that guy. Again, I hope he can be a deep threat, and I hope he can be all those things, but I'm loving watching this guy come out of his breaks. I'm hopeful that, the Packers identify him specifically as a guy that's going to win in man coverage. I know the statistics and analytics didn't necessarily back that up in college, but watching his skill set, he just feels like a guy that could just win. You know what I mean? Assuming the timing and the rhythm is there when he comes out of his break, if that ball is there, it's going to be kind of unstoppable. And that's where that chemistry with Jordan Love is going to come in. Even the next one, watching Romeo Doubs, and Doubs is a solid football player. There's no doubt about it, but it just doesn't look the same. It's a little bit more, when him coming out of his break, it's a little slower. It's a little bit more wasted movement. It's a little bit more exaggerated movement to kind of give away what you're doing. And he's not like full speed coming out of that break as much as Matthew Golden is. So again, these are minor things that, like I said yesterday, I'm going to be looking for where, there's little things that I really liked that I hope that I can keep liking. And it's not like, no, that was ugly. Or, I thought I saw something, but I don't know, maybe I was just whatever. This is exactly what I felt like when the OTAs were going on and we got to see videos of Matthew Golden. It was the exact same feelings. So I just want that to continue, and I'm very happy to report it is. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back and rip through the last of these training camp notes. We'll be right back. Looks like Micah Robinson passed his physical. He's out here practicing. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave taking some red zone reps. Well, that was a heck of a grab for Tucker Kraft. I'm here wanting to watch Musgrave. I'm all excited, like, I haven't seen this guy run around in a while. See this gazelle floating through, and in the back part of the end zone, away from where the camera is, you just see Tucker getting this ridiculous leaping grab, gets his feet down, trying to hype up Musgrave, and Tucker Kraft will not be denied. It's a great leaping grab touchdown. Again, it's not 11-on-11 or anything. It's just the end zone drills between quarterback, wide receiver with a coach playing DB. But great leaping grab, 2 feet down, corner of the end zone for Matthew Golden. Savion Williams ends individuals with a nifty one-handed snag. He leapt in the back of the end zone for it. I hope somebody got a video of that. Bullard is nickel with Hobbs outside to start team ones. Cooper and McDuffie at inside linebacker. Team is so much fun. Offense opens up with 2 tight ends with Doubs and Golden as wide receivers. So right away, again, they're not screwing around with the Golden thing. No videos allowed, but Savion Williams just made one hell of a leaping one-handed catch. Yeah, he did. Man, I really hope he's a great receiver for us. I just, how cool it would be if we hit on not just 1 but 2 receivers. I mean, let's just dream for a minute, can we? If that's really the majority of what we got out of this draft class is 2 really good receivers, I'm going to have a hard time being upset about that. Isaiah Simmons getting first-team reps with the Packers defense alongside Edgerrin Cooper and Isaiah McDuffie. Simmons is a guy that, again, I kind of thought it was one of those, he's a freak, how could he be bad? Let's give him a chance. And it doesn't materialize into anything. Packers quickly realize, oh, that's why nobody wants him, because he's terrible. They started pushing him up the ladder pretty quickly in OTAs, and it's one of the other things that I'm curious about if that continues, and it seems to be. Not happy that Tyron Hopper is just not progressing and he's getting leaped. But I am somewhat intrigued by Isaiah Simmons and what could happen there. I still don't have massively high hopes. I understand everybody wants to talk about his upside and everything, but we also have to talk about the fact that he's been an abject failure for multiple teams, and not just like subpar. I'm talking horrifically bad at football. So unless Hafley has something real different up his sleeve and a different way to utilize him or whatever, I don't know. But so far they seem to like him. We'll see if he actually ends up making any plays or if they're just trying to push him to the front to get a good look at him before they make a decision. Herman says, looks like we're about to get team drills. Jacobs, nice run up the middle to start. Starters, Love, Jacobs, Kraft, Doubs, Reed, Wicks, Walker, Banks, Ryan, Morgan, Tom. Same defensive starters as below with Bullard in the slot. Love's first pass complete to Kraft on a bootleg. So again, keeping some stuff in mind here. Good run up the middle. The rushing is kind of iffy. There's very little contact right now, so, But passing is a little bit better. And again, what is one of the big things that I wanted from Jordan Love? I want to feel like he's in command. I don't want to feel like, it's a bad day for Jordan. So far, all I've seen from Jordan He ran through a drill where you got to go weave in and out of these stupid giant cone things and then throw a pass, whatever it was, 20 yards into a net, nailed the net. That, those easy little red zone drills. He's throwing really nice passes. That really high jumping pass to Tucker Kraft in the background, that was thrown by Malik. Pass to Musgrave was from Love. Nice, easy, smooth, right in the breadbasket, in stride for a touchdown. First pass with the ones. Bootleg hits Tucker Kraft. There's going to be incompletions, there's going to be interceptions, but the point is, it just feels like he's in control, and that's a great, great sign. Love's first 2 passes complete to Tucker Kraft. Could 25 be the year of 85? Well, if it was up to Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and whatnot, absolutely. I mean, there's no more loved weapon on this offense than Tucker Kraft. We'll see if Matthew Golden has something to say about that, but if he doesn't emerge, or Savion or somebody, I have a feeling Matt LaFleur would love to build this offense around Tucker Kraft. Not sure if it's the period or what, but Brenton Cox rushing from a 2-point stance. That's random. Sean Ryan has been running with the ones at center with Elton Jenkins out. I wonder, I think Monk's okay. This might just be one of those today we're going with Sean Ryan. Tomorrow it's going to be Monk. Or maybe it just has to do with we need Morgan and presumably Belton to get as much opportunity as we possibly can. I mean, if Sean Ryan's playing guard, what does that mean for our first and second round pick? They're just not playing. I don't know. Belton, Jennings, Monk, Telford, and Glover is number 2 line left to right. So I think that's also been pretty standard. So Belton has been, for the Anthony Belton at left tackle train, I think biggest argument is that he's played the vast majority, if not exclusively, at left tackle. I don't know. I'm assuming there's going to be some right guard cross training, but that's just me assuming. I don't know that I've actually seen it very much. So if he doesn't take any snaps at right guard, then the Packers have seemingly made up their mind on Belton, which at that point, we might as well just keep Morgan at right guard, you know what I mean? And so it does become a Belton versus Walker competition, which does simplify things a little bit, I suppose. I just wish they would try Belton at right guard a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe that is the way that they're going. They're not going to say it, right? You ask them, they're like, oh, it's best 5. We're going to rotate all kinds of stuff. But they have a general plan, and maybe that general plan is Morgan right guard, Belton left tackle. And look, at the end of the day, I don't care as long as it works. If Belton is a great left tackle, you're not going to hear a complaint out of me for that. If Morgan can play guard, I'm not mad about that. Impressive run from Marshawn Lloyd to bounce outside for a big gain. His juice is just different and adds such a playmaking element. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm very excited about Marshawn Lloyd. I wasn't huge on him in the draft, but watching some of the clips from him have been really, his cuts have been fantastic, and at his size, that's awesome. The only thing that's just a little voice in the back of my head to keep an eye on is you don't want to be a guy that just panics and bounces to the outside. All the highlights in my head are him stopping bouncing to the outside. Sometimes you got to do that. But also sometimes you got to trust the development. You got to trust the play design. You got to be patient. You got to wait for it, and you're going to have to make that work. I'm not saying this is a problem. It's just, again, all these are just little notes that I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind. With that said, this is exactly the note that I had for Aaron Jones in his first year. His first year, all he ever did was bounce to the outside. He had massive success. I don't know. I remember, my memory is terrible. I remember some of the most random stuff. It's part of having this podcast is I know I hammered some points. I was very skeptical of Aaron Jones because he had 5.5 yards per carry on semi-limited snaps, which I said he would not be able to replicate, which he did numerous times. And I said, a lot of this just comes from bouncing to the outside. You can't make a career of that. Well, he kind of did and he kind of didn't. He still bounced to the outside all the time. It worked tremendously throughout his entire career, but also he's very good reading to the inside. But the point is, that's the easy thing to do, is to panic and get to the outside, and if it works, you look like a genius. I think the real, actual genius of being a running back is seeing something that isn't even there. That's what great running backs like Aaron Jones can do. You're running at a hole that isn't even there, and by the time you get to the hole, it opens up and you run right through it. So, very big fan of Marshawn Lloyd. Very excited that he can become a very good running back for us. So far, I have nothing but positives outside of his injury issues. to say about Marshawn Lloyd, but that's where we're at. Careful. Kinda uncanny resemblance between current former Packers. 11, Sam Brown, I need a minute here. I can't even read numbers. 17, Sam Brown, Devontae Adams. 93, Nazir Stackhouse, TJ Slayton. 38, Gregory Jr., Tramon Williams. Can't take picks anymore, but the number plus the dreads equals uncanny. Dime from Love to Jacobs deep down the left sideline in end zone, but Hobbs with a nice last-second pass breakup. Spinner series play action with a deep ball to Jacobs. Love threw it perfectly. Hobbs ranged over at the last minute to make a play on Jacobs, but would call that one a drop from 8. Looked like Love was about to float a deep ball for a touchdown, but Hobbs comes off his man, breaks it up in the end zone. Big smile on Hobbs' face afterwards. There he is, Monk at center with the second one's rotation with Ryan back at right guard. Spofford said Packers positional musings with Jenkins out with a back injury. First OL had Ryan at center, Morgan at right guard. Second set for first unit had Monk at center, Ryan at right guard. On defense, Bullard was first up at nickel. In base, Simmons opened up third linebacker along Cooper McDuffie with Walker out. Okay. McManus good from 33, 38 right hash, 41 left hash. Those aren't exactly bangers. No 50-yarders yet, but McManus had probably his best, statistically not even close, his best season ever last year with the Packers. I think it's unfair to expect him to have that level of success again, but we're off to a good start. Golden now working with the ones, was with the twos in walkthroughs. Isaiah Simmons all over Josh Jacobs' screen. Here we go. Packers varying one looks. Morgan now at left tackle with Glover, Monk, Ryan, and Tom. Fair enough. I guess Glover at left guard is a thing, huh? Xavier McKinney's first interception of 2025 comes on a Love shot to the back right corner of the end zone intended for Wicks. McKinney came down with the jump ball and gets mobbed. Like always, you look at it, it's positive, negative. I'm not mad about that. Big question about whether McKinney can ever replicate what he did. And one of the great things about that is McKinney taught other offenses, don't you dare take shots against me or I'm going to go hunt down and get it. Jordan Love is pushing that boundary and McKinney is out there again saying, go ahead, push it, see what happens. You try to push into my backfield, bro? Calm down. You guys are out of control. Jordan Love with a fastball to Romeo Doubs on a left out to convert 3rd and 6 for 11 yards. Doubs beat Javon Bullard to the left sideline. That one was a little bit delayed, I think, because we're back to the picks. But took 72 minutes of Packers' first practice for Xavier McKinney to get his first interception. Catching punts today, Reed, Nixon, Hardman, Doubs, Golden, and Wicks. Some of this stuff I just don't understand. I guess early on it's like, let's just see if, let's just get crazy with it and see what happens. Can we not waste our time with Wicks? Can we not waste our time with Doubs? Can we not waste our time with Golden? I don't care if Golden is the greatest kick returner since frickin' whoever. Can't think of the guy's name. He's not going to be our punt returner. Neither is Doubs, neither is Wicks, and while we're at it, let's stop it with Reed. This is a Nixon-Hardman race, okay? Nixon-Hardman, Nixon-Hardman, that's it. Stop being ridiculous. Necessary disclaimer, they're not wearing pads yet, but Isaiah Simmons flashed the speed that once made him a top 10 pick, closing on Josh Jacobs instantly to hold the Packers running back for a 2-yard gain and a quick screen off of awfully impressive athlete. Mark Murphy on his third to last day as president and CEO, chatting it up with Matt LaFleur during special teams period. Whalen catching a slipstream to the north and booming these punts. I don't know what a slipstream is, but booming the punts is always good. That's the other thing that is just consistent. For as long as we've had Daniel Whalen, it's just been constant streams of tweets of, holy crap, it sounds like a shotgun went off when he kicked this thing. McManus then makes from 43 left hash, 38 and 46 right hash, starting to push it back. He's still good, 6 for 6. Interesting, Catano Ladapo getting some of the nickel slot duties with the twos like Bullard. That is interesting. Wes Hodkiewicz says, Golden is nice, man. Willis drops his arm and flares it to 22 for an 8-yard touchdown. Malik Willis laser to Matthew Golden in tight coverage for a touchdown. Golden beat Valentine clean on the play. Valentine batted it out, but after it was confirmed catch and score, he knocked it out of his hands after the touchdown. Best ball of the day, Malik Willis threading the needle to first-round pick Matthew Golden for a touchdown. Insane throw. By the way, that was another one of my things that I wanted to keep an eye on. Malik Willis. Remember I said some of the most accurate, beautiful passes I had seen were from Malik Willis. It's great to hear that he's throwing shockingly accurate laser balls for touchdowns. Willis comes back with a touchdown to Hardman on the next play. That's great for Willis. Also, Hardman, touchdown guy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's ever been that in his career, but when it comes to red zone play, Hardman has been that dude. Wooden and Sorrell, good to hear Sorrell's name for the first time of camp. Wooden and Sorrell flush Willis, who was forced to scramble after what would have been a sack to end twos. Love to Brooks on a little Texas route for a touchdown. Don't forget about Brooks. Dude can just play. I am somewhat intrigued by Chris Brooks a little bit, although that room is tough. Chris Brooks doing what he does, runs a wheel from the backfield and hits a slant for an 8-yard touchdown from Love. Love then to Dobbs on a quick slant for a touchdown. Eversol says Love touchdown to Dobbs and a quick slant to the right. Not much you could do about that. Rashawn Gary fights through Tom to shut down the quick screen from 4 yards out. Oh, Zach Tom just got a contract. Now he's Love. Little advice for training camp. I've battled with this for years. Just take the positive news. That's it. Just take the positives. If there's recurring negatives with somebody, fine. But if it's Zach Tom versus Rashawn Gary, one of them has to win and one of them has to lose. Be happy. Now, if Zach Tom starts getting beat by everybody all the time, that's a separate issue. Nixon blankets Dobbs on the end zone fade from Love, then Dobbs beats Nixon with an inside slant move for a touchdown. Good players competing back and forth. Josh Jacobs skies for one in front of the end zone to come down with the touchdown with Simmons in coverage. Simmons couldn't believe it. Little recap from Ryan Wood. Jordan Love bounces back from an earlier pick, throwing a 6-yard touchdown to Chris Brooks on a Texas route, followed with a 4-yard touchdown to Romeo Dobbs on a slant. Missed Tucker Kraft for a touchdown on the left out. Hit 3-yard touchdown to Josh Jacobs against Isaiah Simmons. High throw, but Jacobs went up at the goal line and got it. Practice ends on a touchdown pass to a massive Messiah Swinson on a quick fade. Andy Herman says no better way to end practice than a Clifford to Lumpkin touchdown. That does it for day one. Drill Sergeant Josh Jacobs running the defense through push-ups after offense comes out on top. Packers' first practice, a training camp in the books, a heavy emphasis on goal line situation today. Nice day from the offense, defense doing push-ups. 2 more practices until they strap the pads. Let's go. But all right, folks, I think that's about it. Day 1 of training camp is in the books. I got to go back and I'm going to go back and harvest all of these tweets and notes and whatnot because I'm going to try to, as I do every year, organize all this stuff so we can kind of go back and reference it and get stats, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to take me a little bit of time. I got to get to work on that. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Bye-bye.